Micah Frankel, CageMinds.com. We're 1 week away from RFA 18 in the co-main event. Abel Cullum taking on Ulysses Gomez, who is our guest right now. Thank you for the time, Ulysses. How you feeling?
Good, man. Just hanging out with my son.
1 week away from the fight. Are you starting the weight cutting? How's the body feeling?
Good, man. Just trying to stay sharp and not get any injuries last week. Everybody you do a hard camp, you'll get banged up. So it's trying to heal the little nagging injuries and make sure you don't get any other ones.
A lot's been made of you're coming off of about a 19-month layoff. Abel's coming off of a 3-year layoff. So does ring rust play a factor, or you've both been away for a while, so let's just go out there and fight?
Well, I don't know. Maybe for him, he'll have ring rust. For me, I've had 3 fights, almost 4 fights, kind of fall out, in that 18-month span. So I've been training the whole time. I just had bad luck. That's the thing.
With the fights falling out, is there any difference between the sparring and the practicing and actually having a fight?
Well, when I actually have a fight, that's when I put a lot of focus into my cardio, making sure that I do my rounds with my minute break in between or less, depending on the day. If I don't have a fight coming up, let's just give some rounds in. If I have a 2-minute break, 3-minute break, doesn't really matter because it's more for to get better and to have fun, as opposed to train for the fight.
3 fights falling apart in front of you. How frustrating was that time right there, thinking, wow, will something work out?
I mean, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's frustrating because you put in all this work, you don't get a fight. But it's also on the flip side, you gotta look at it. I spent 6, 8, 10 weeks for every fight that fell through, and you got better. So that's the good part.
So is that what you're able to take from it? Just look at it as it was a time to grow, a time to get better, and you're sharper for the next one?
Yeah, you learn something from every camp, from every fight, And even though I didn't fight, for 18 months, I still learned stuff from all those camps at that.
So you talked about getting your cardio in order, coming out here to a little higher elevation. Have you put in prepared for that?
I just think that I am prepared, but you never really know till you get out there, I've been doing, I do my sprints, my sparring with this thing called a hyperwear vest. It's pretty much a weight vest, but on the side there's little straps that you can tie and make it a lot harder to breathe, But ultimately, you won't really know if you're 100% prepared until you fight, There's always, even in the fights I've had in California or London where, it's at sea level, you still have that doubt, like, man, did I do enough? And that's always just that's how I am. I always feel that you always at least I always kind of second guess myself.
Second guessing out of the way, where do you think people are going to see the most improvement in your game? Because it's been so long since we've been able to see you fight.
It all depends on how Abel wants the fight to go. If he tries to keep it on the feet with me, then they'll definitely see my boxing and my kickboxing. If he wants to take me down or try to take me down, they'll see my jiu-jitsu. I'm comfortable anywhere. I don't know if he can say the same thing about himself, so we'll see.
Well, just from your guys' records, both of you have the majority of your wins by submission. So do you think that could be an interesting aspect, getting you both on the ground?
I don't know. He could see my record and he could try to avoid me on the ground, or he could see, my record and say, hey, I think I'm better than this guy, and try to submit me. You never really know. You always expect one thing, and the fight usually turns out completely different. So
this co-main event fight is at 135 pounds. Is that a new home for you, or is that just the fight offered? Where are you at on the weight class?
My fight at 35, this is my 4th fight at 135. My first fight at 135 like in 2 years. I feel comfortable at that weight. I didn't want to go back down to 125 at fight altitude, and not sure if the cut would affect my cardio. So I figured, he's a smaller 135, I'm a smaller 135, so it's kind of go in there and get it done.
And then, with all the fights that have fallen out, now you're going to be on Access TV at a co-main event. So did you see things kind of worked out for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to fight, man. I kind of want to just wrap myself in a bubble until the fight happens. Make sure that nothing happens between now and then. That's like more my main concern. Fighting on TV is always a plus. But I'll fight if there's one person in the crowd, if there's 100,000.
So this wrapping yourself up in a bubble, is this a normal feeling, or is this just that's how anxious you are and you want to make sure that nothing happens before the fight?
I mean, it's just that I haven't fought in 18 months because I've had all these fights pull out. Shows got canceled, I got sick, that kind of thing, and it's kind of like, man, like it's right there. You'll get your reward. Ultimately, you put all this hard work in, and the reward is the fight. Get to test yourself. To see how you stack up against another opponent. And that's always a reward. And it feels like I put all this work and I haven't got the chance to reap those benefits yet.
Well, since you've started fighting, is this the biggest layoff that you've been forced into?
Oh yeah, man. Like I made a joke. I was talking to Frank Trick today. And I said, I like to fight 3 times in a year, and I haven't fought in a year and a half, so I got a lot of fights to make up.
So, all things going well, that's what the plan is from here on out, just getting as many fights as you can and make up time?
It's not about getting as many fights as you can, it's just taking the right fights, try not taking any short notice fights, less just like UFC calls, that kind of thing. But other than that, it's, are you ready? Are you healthy? All right, let's do this, if you're ready, let's go, if not, just take some more time, and kind of, heal up if you have any injuries, or if, sometimes, just always the grind of just training for a fight, you feel like, man, like I just want to train just to have fun,
Training to have fun. Was there a point where it wasn't being fun when all these fights were falling out? Was there a kind of a worry on your point, or it's the fight game and you can't let that stuff affect you?
No, it's just kind of like the fight game, unless it's like even in the UFC, they've had fights fall out, and they just had a show canceled and all that. But other than that, it's just a fight game, you got to realize that, like, shows get canceled, fighters pull out, that kind of stuff, it happens.
So, with the fight so close and everything looks to be on point, how excited are you just because it's getting closer and closer?
Yeah, man, I really don't get excited talking the fight.
So is there anything new that you've been adding into your training, things that you've been changing up, anything like that going on?
What's funny is I haven't been doing anything new. I've been doing stuff that I kind of pulled away from. The reason, what I mean by that is, like, when I first started fighting, I would always do grappling tournaments. And the thing with grappling tournaments is you want to go out there, you want to submit your opponent as quick as possible because you're going to have another match, possibly, 5-10 minutes. Sometimes, before the 5 minutes, So you want to take it submit them as soon as possible and get as much rest time as between, And I kind of went away from that style, Once I started focusing on MMA, it was more kind of like, win the round, do this, do that, And I felt like going back to that jiu-jitsu mindset where I just got to put them away as soon as possible. It leads to the victory, and B, a more of a exciting fight.
Was doing those tournaments also part of just being able to keep yourself busy?
It's yes, to keep myself busy, but also give me something to shoot for. Like I was supposed to do the Eddie Bravo Invitational in June, but I ended up hurting my ribs, so I couldn't do it. But I was training for that. I want to get on a Metamorph card. It's just I always feel like I do something. I better want to have something to shoot for, whether it be a grappling match, or an MMA fight, that kind of stuff.
So how many grappling tournaments have you been in recently? What have you been doing on that aspect?
Man, I did I think one last year and one this year, which is it's not even a lot, man. 1 year I did 17, but it was like I did double trials, that kind of thing. So my whole thing is I just gotta get in there and just kind of like get my the mindset of training for those tournaments. And sometimes I did them and then I got hurt, or I did them and I was like, you know what? I was like, I did a month and a half of straight jiu-jitsu for this tournament, and this fight came up, so I couldn't do the tournament I wanted to do because the fight was around the corner. I got scheduled for a fight, and then maybe a week or two after the tournament was over, the fight got canceled. So it's kind of like, man, they was just always being in that mindset of finish.
Well, that's a good way to be, and I bet more people should probably take that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is like, I mean, if I would have, ideally, I would like to do every grappling tournament, every grappler's quest, every Abu Dhabi trials, every Metamore, and still be able to fight. But sometimes it's like, man, like I do, I put them 5-6 weeks into grappling camp, maybe even a month. I mean, I'm just grappling every day super hard, and they go, hey man, like we offered you this fight at a lot more money than you're gonna make in grappling tournaments. You're like, all right, well, let me focus on MMA. And then the fight got canceled or I got hurt. So I'm like, man, but it's still, whether that's one thing that was discouraging is like I'm putting all these hours in, and I know I'm getting better, but you really don't know how better you are till you get to prove it against someone that you never went against. The guys in the gym, after a while, they know your game, that kind of stuff.
So, going back to the grappling tournaments, did it just hit you one day, oh, this is something I could do, will fights keep falling out, or how'd that come about?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of both. Some of these guys, I got offered to do the Eddie Bravo Invitational. That was June of this year. July of last year, I did the Fan Expo Super Fight at the Grappler's Quest for the UFC Fan Expo. I've had some other stuff that was scheduled to do, then they fell through for whatever other reason, But it's something that I like, I love grappling, and I still like to compete in it, and B, some people still want to pay to see me compete, so.
Oh, of course we want to pay to see you compete. Excited to see this co-main event coming up. And then also loving, like you say, going for the finish, because we've seen a lot of people that hold on and try to play the points or just hold on for the stand-up and making the sport and the art form less than what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of my problems with sports jiu-jitsu is that it's so sport-oriented now that, some of that stuff wouldn't work in a fight. And granted, it's a sport, not a fight, but you still got to realize why jiu-jitsu was invented was for self-defense aspect, and some people, they go into that, well, I'm going to do a double guard pull and, sit on my hip and stand up the last 30 seconds for an advantage or 2 points, and it's like, well, okay, you won the match, but, did you really win? Do you feel like a winner,
Right, exactly. So what are you going to do coming in on the 12th to come out as the winner?
I mean, just play my game. I know that Abel's not better than me on the feet. He's not better than me on the ground. I don't think he has better wrestling than me. I have good cardio. The only advantage he really has over me is that he's a local favorite, So I know that. With that being said, I felt like I got screwed in my last fight when I fought in London at the UFC. So I know that counts if I go to the decision, because more often than not, they're going to give him the decision. I mean, if you look at the Ross Pearson and Diego Sanchez fight, Ross controlled that fight and they gave it to Diego, and that was in New Mexico, and this is where this fight's at too. So I know that if it goes to decision, I'm not going to get fair shakes. I have to put him away.
So you're well aware of those surroundings, and it's almost a shame that something like that has to put a black eye to where fighters have to feel that way. Well, this commission made that bad decision, and it's so well known. I know as a visitor, I have to go for the finish.
I mean, you should have to go for the finish, whether you're the local hero or you're coming to enemy territory. You should always have that mindset. You got to finish the fight, but you shouldn't feel like you have to. You should want to finish the fight for your own sake, not because you feel like you have to, because you're going to get screwed on a decision.
Exactly. Well, it's been great talking to you. Do you have a message for your fans?
Just if you guys can be there, in person on September 12th, that'd be awesome. I know that Abel doesn't have a huge following, so I'm going to get booed, so any cheer that I can get, it would be greatly appreciated. If you can't be there, just watch on Access TV, it should be fun. I mean, I'm just, like I said, man, I'm just trying to stay safe, and just kind of chill out until the fight, so I can go down there and put in some good work.
And then, do you have any people you need to thank?
I mean, my sponsors, on it.com, they've always helped me out. Dave Ashman, Bulletproof Copies, always helped me out. My buddy from Hip Hop Chess Federation, they've always helped me out. Rep, you're supported me for a long time, so I was Keiko Sports. All those guys, they've always kind of looked after me and taken care of me, It's easy to support someone when they're in the UFC, and they're always in the public's eye. But I haven't fought for 18 months, they still stuck around, I had my back, so I really appreciate that.
RFA 18, September 12th, Albuquerque Convention Center, Access TV, co-main event, Ulysses Gomez taking on Abel Cullum. It's It's going to be a great night of fights. We'll see you guys there, and thank you very much for the great interview.
Well, let's be real, man. We are the main event. You're just showing the fight after.